know it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
He's sick. Fox, you've seen one too many.
Who's laughing now?
Who's laughing now?
Hello, welcome to the 404 Films podcast. I'm Carl.
And I'm Sive.
Wait, you're not Sive.
What?
No, today Sive's not with us, but in her stead we have... I'm going to put in like Shawn Michaels' entrance music from WWE. Sexy boy playing over this.
No, don't do that.
We have Glen Byrne in her stead.
I can only apologise.
An expert in his field.
Don't oversell me already.
Which has nothing to do with what we're going to be talking about today. Because what are we talking about today?
Specifically the Treehouses of Horrors in The Simpsons.
We're talking about the pinnacle Halloween special. The Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors. What every other TV show tries to be around Halloween. This is the one I think that started it all. And I must confess something straight up. I had an idea of how to start this that was 10 times worse than how we just started it there. Where in the Treehouse of Horrors for the first few, they do the Frankenstein, like 1931 or whatever it was, Frankenstein opening, where the guy comes out on stage and he's like, we would just like to warn you about, and Marge does it usually in The Simpsons, where she comes and she warns the audience not to watch it.
Yeah.
But tonight's show, which I totally wash my hands of, is really scary. So if you have sensitive children, maybe you should tuck them into bed early tonight instead of writing us angry letters tomorrow.
I was going to do a Marge impression of that as we started it, and do... I'm not even going to attempt to do a Marge impression so far. I'll see how the episode goes, but that's how I was genuinely going to start it, was by going really...
Kobe!
Oh, fuck. Okay, just a bit of background. Reason why Glenn is here, and reason why I'm talking about this in the first place, because we've talked about kind of more horror-orientated content. The Simpsons is probably... I don't know. I'd like to say it's the biggest influence on me overall. That everything that I like, everything I enjoy came from The Simpsons probably. That was the starting point. So, like, The Simpsons...
Just in life. Like...
I don't want to overstate it, but I'm pretty sure The Simpsons raised me. I that sounds bad to... That sounds bad to my mom and dad, but, like, I can remember watching The Simpsons since, like, I can remember.
Yeah, and I don't think it'll end till man ends, really.
No, it'll keep going until people have lived and died when that show has been on. I came into it when the show was off peak, you know. I wouldn't agree with that, but still. But the show is like one of the biggest influences to me, and I felt like everything that I liked has come from that, with the parodies that they do. And I feel bad for my mom and dad when I say that I was raised by The Simpsons, but it was kind of there since the very beginning. It's since I can remember it, and I learned a lot of stuff from that, you know what I mean? I learned a lot of my life from TV, and if you know me, such as yourself, that statement makes so much sense, because I think I'm in a movie half the time I talk to people.
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
You know, so I was completely raised off media, you know? But reason why Glenn is here is because he's probably a Simpsons super fan as well, as much as I am, probably. But no, probably not as much as me, because I'm better than him, but still.
It's not a competition, except I would win, but otherwise it's not a competition.
But you've been kind of growing up watching it as well, haven't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I wouldn't say it raised me. I wouldn't go that far.
I wouldn't discredit my mother's efforts by saying that a TV show raised me, but yeah.
Yeah. It's just been around forever, hasn't it? It was just always kind of on.
Since we were born around what season? Probably like the 10th or something was coming out, and
to be honest, man, maybe I'm less of a super fan than you, but I use years to find Lifehackers not. God, I came about season 9.
2020 has been a bad year. I consider it, season 32 of The Simpsons been pretty poor. This has been a pretty poor year, I just want to say up front, I don't still watch the show. I have some self-respect, so please don't judge me on that. Yeah, I stopped watching it, I think, around, I don't know, like the 15th season. Oh, no, after the movie, I stopped watching it, I think. I just didn't like it as much.
Well, it's weird because, when we were the age to kind of watch it and stuff, it was it was well on the decline, you know? So it's hard to say. I stopped watching it as soon as it got bad, but it's like, that was like when we started watching it.
That's what people will probably say, but I think it was good until about season 12 or 13. There's always odd episodes here and there that I like, you know? I mean, I feel like now that I've said that, though, like somebody from the Irish Simpsons fan Facebook page will come and firebomb my house. I mean, I'm a part of that group too, but like, if I don't say that seasons 1 to 8 are the best or something like that, they'll firebomb my house, you know?
I don't think it's fair to put an exact cutoff on it. I think it's a very kind of blurred line, and it just...
I think you can put a cutoff when it gets to about 20. At that stage, it's kind of like, okay, I'm done, you know?
Well, some people will say, and you mentioned this, that after the film, when it shifted into The Simpsons in HD,
yeah,
and in 16:9 and everything, and people would say like that is a decent cutoff, to be fair. But other people would say, well, after season 7, when so and so left, or when... I think they'd kind of be wrong, to be fair, because there's good episodes like
always scattered about, and then at the same time,
you know,
I liked it when I was a kid. I mean, I still like it. I think it's one of the funniest written shows ever, and it's like it. I think it kind of mastered the parody, and I'll talk about that more later. But at the same time, I think there's a reason why I liked it so much as a kid. That probably there's kids watching the new seasons that love it, that want to watch every new episode and love all 30 seasons. That's great. Fair play to them. They have 30.
You know what? They're wrong.
Yeah, that little 8-year-old is an idiot for liking the fucking liking the 25th season. They have 32 seasons to pick from. So
it is mad. And about 10 good ones.
Yeah, unless there's like little hipster children that are like, no, season 8 is really bad, and no, season 6 was the dark season of The Simpsons where it really dipped.
Well, they're just wrong.
The reason why we're talking about the Treehouse of Horrors, though, is because I feel they are standout episodes. That even when the show started to decline, you'd get something out of the Treehouse of Horrors, and they're the ones that I kind of went back, even when I don't watch the show, I'd constantly go back and watch those episodes. Like, if a new season came out, wouldn't watch the season, I'd watch the Treehouse of Horror just to see what they've done. To give like another kind of personal account on it, or like everything that's on this podcast, it would be a thing that you'd watch on Halloween. Like the Sky One would show all of them on a block. And if I remember, sometimes I think at a certain point they stopped for about 2 years. They'd play about 2 episodes, and I was like, this is a fucking joke. I need my fill of these, because that's what you do on Halloween, either before going out trick-or-treating or when you come back, is you'd watch the whole block of them. It's what you do, you know what I mean? It was built into kind of my childhood of rewatching them. And I think I like horror movies, I always did, and when The Simpsons kind of does it, I have that morbid sense of humor when, you know, they do these kind of morbid things. So I'm enjoying it a lot more, because not only is it The Simpsons, which I love, it's the horror Simpsons, which, you know, is perfect for me.
I wouldn't say I watched them so much like always at Halloween. I found they were kind of on randomly.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt the Treehouse of Horror were special in a way, because I mean, like you say that, oh, you will go back and watch a Treehouse of Horror, whereas you wouldn't watch the whole season. I think part of that is as well that a season can be meh, and there can be bad episodes in a season, and just generally you won't remember a lot of episodes, but you will tend to remember a Treehouse of Horror, be that because, you know, they parodied something in particular for it, or just because it was good.
Yeah, I think there's usually kind of standout kind of stuff in them that, particularly the first kind of 5 or 6, are hilarious. You know, they are so funny. It's just that I guess you kind of get to see kind of different kind of things they wouldn't do. They kind of push the boundaries a bit more in regards to content, I guess, with the violence that they can show and how kind of outrageous they can be and how much they can kind of bend the rules. When I was talking about like I like horror movies and stuff, they parodied stuff that I hadn't seen yet and made me kind of want to go off and watch, or even it was just kind of built into my head. So like one of the best ones that they ever did was, of course, I feel like The Shining.
This house has quite a long and colourful history. It was built on an ancient Indian burial ground and was the setting of satanic rituals, witch burnings, and 5 John Denver Christmas specials.
Oh, John Denver.
If I said Treehouse of Horror to you, what would be the go-to tale? Because each episode is an anthology of 3 stories. So which one would be, like, when I just say it, the first one to come into your head, or like the kind of the standout one of all of them?
Well, it would be the Shining, like, to be fair.
The Shining or the Bart Simpson's Dracula, I think, would stand out the most to me.
Well, if it isn't little boy.
And I think The Simpsons, not only in this, parody everything, like, well, back in the day, not so much now. Like, I'm not going to lie, when I say the later seasons have declined, they really have, and you can tell that the jokes aren't the same. They're very much like I don't know how to describe it without coming off as like a massive dick to whoever writes it, but like they're like non-jokes in a way that people just say kind of facts, or they state the obvious, and it's not really a joke. But there are episodes here and there that I'll talk about later that I like. So like I was watching the other like the episode in season 5 called what's it called? Is it called Rosebud? It's the one where Mr. Burns, it's a whole Citizen Kane like parody.
Mr. Burns loses the bear.
He loses the bear. Yeah, it's one of the best episodes.
Rosebud, yeah.
It's so like on point with its parody, and it's so funny with everything it does. And I don't mean to compare it to Family Guy, but I was thinking about Family Guy last night. It just came into my head, and I find Family Guy's humor. I mean, I like the first few seasons of that, but it owes everything to The Simpsons, and I don't think it's a good show because its whole humor is, remember this clip in this movie? Let's just recreate it with either our characters, or let's just say it. Let's not add a joke, or let's not parody it. Well, The Simpsons would go ahead and parody it, to the point when Family Guy just decided, we've made all the Star Wars jokes we can. Let's just recreate Star Wars as a whole. Remember they did that? They recreated the trilogy.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
So
Chewie was the Darth Vader.
Yeah,
or whatever.
it was stupid. They just recreated Star Wars because they kind of ran out of ideas, I feel, or they ran out of ways to like write lazy jokes. While The Simpsons would have done it more, I want to say with more class, and they parodied it really well. And that's what the Treehouse of Horrors really kind of stood out, is that they were the king of parody. So when they did the Shining, it was really kind of accurate with its jokes. You know, even like the elevator door opens and all the blood comes through.
That's odd. Usually the blood gets off at the second floor.
It doesn't even stop there. They continue to go on and parody other kind of horror movies and do it like so well. Even when they kind of got off course a bit, when they parodied stuff for the first few seasons, it was hilarious. Like one of my favorites as well is King Homer, the King Kong one, which is just hilarious. Like, I just so good and so on point with its parody. You know, it knows what it's parodying and it kind of sticks to it.
My name is Marge Bouvier. I'm here about your ad. Single white female wanted for mysterious expedition. Must like monkeys.
That's what I've seen with newer episodes as well. They really won't know what they're parodying, so it'll be a little bit of this mixed with a little bit of that, to the point where I watched I watched all of them again in preparation for this, and I don't know why, because at like a certain point I'm just like, oh my god, fucking kill me. But they did one where it was a parody of Kingsman mixed with a parody of James Bond. And then I think in the same episode they had this is in one tale, and they had a parody of like the Hunger Games mixed with a parody of Mad Max. Choose which one you want to like copy, you know, you want to kind of riff on. Yeah. But also, what the fuck does that have to do with Halloween? You know?
Yeah. On that point, like I was watching a more recent one, and it was they were doing a parody of A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
That's all well and good, like I get that. And like, can I just say, like, one of the best things about a Treehouse of Horror is sometimes the characters just fit in so well with whatever you're parodying. So like the Shining, when Homer goes mad, like of course.
Yeah.
Like it just makes sense and it just fits perfectly.
Yeah, I don't wanna sound like kind of pretentious, but I feel like it writes itself, that when they got together and did that, it's like, let's do a Shining. It just kind of, okay, well, Homer is Jack Nicholson, he's going to go mad because of these reasons, you know? It just kind of immediately lays itself out, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. But this Clockwork Orange parody, I forget what, I think it was in season 23, 24.
I don't know, yeah, something mad, yeah.
Yeah, but it was, like at one point, I think that they're doing a home invasion kind of thing, and they just play on as many Stanley Kubrick films as they can.
Yeah.
So one of them goes into the bathroom, and it's your man stroking the gun out of a Full Metal Jacket. I thought, oh yeah, that's quite clever. Yeah, throw that in, little nice subtle. And then it's fucking, 2001? that you're doing, but it's your man's iPhone that you have to go pick up or something.
That was like, it breaks the rules of the context of the joke as well, because they all talk weird.
Hey,
And
look,
then it's
look,
my
it's
iPhone.
a parody,
You know?
see?
Yeah,
Get it? Yeah. But then at the end they just throw Stanley Kubrick in it and just kind of just focus on him a bit. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, no, it's
You know?
I actually think there's the odd good joke in that one though, like when they break into his like, so it's like the Clockwork Orange, but like Alex is Mo in this story.
Yeah.
And then when they break into his gaff to do the home invasion, this is like a bunch of other people that break in. You know, the scene in the movie with the big porcelain dick. Instead, it's the Shmoo. You know, the Shmoo character that that was funny.
Yeah.
That got a laugh out of me. You know, but at a certain point, and I think it's kind of the decline of how they went on, is that they stopped becoming horror orientated stuff, or even kind of being Halloweeny in a way. And I mean, this is the Halloween season of podcast episodes, so I'm going to keep using the word Halloweeny or Halloween-esque, but that's one of the reasons why I love these. Halloweener, yeah, there we go, that's a new one.
Would you describe yourself as a Halloweener?
As a hardcore Halloweener, man, you know?
Yeah.
Halloweener. That's going to be written on my tomb. That's something I'd watch, though, like, to feel, like, to get into the mood of it, you know what I mean? To the point that before we had Disney Plus, where you could get these episodes, you know, at the touch of a button, there was one DVD, if you didn't buy the whole, you know, 1 to fucking 30 or however many there are, box sets of the seasons of The Simpsons, there was this one DVD that you could get, which is like a compilation of Halloween episodes. But it was the most random ones. I think it went from like the season 1 never had a Halloween special. So when they go up like 1, 2, 3, it's always you've got to cut out the first season. So it's like I think I had like 5, The Shining, 6, which is like another one of my favorites. It's the Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace, the Nightmare on Elm Street parody.
It's also the one where Homer goes into
Homer Cubed.
Tree.
That is great. Like that, I wanted to talk about that one because it's just for that time period as well. Like it was really early 90s, and for that like one of the first TV, especially this was a TV budget, and it was only a little kind of segment of a goofy little Halloween episode, and it is hilarious when they do it. Like that ending used to always stick out to me, where he ends up in the real world. And he goes to the erotic bakery at the end of it. It's just so good.
What I love about that as well is like it's him around normal people.
Yeah.
And he just looks so weird.
Yeah.
Like, you don't cop that like watching the show until he's like around ordinary people.
I love it when they introduce kind of like real film clips and stuff into it. Because even like the opening of like the 6th one, the Shining one, Marge comes out and she does her introduction. Like this is going to be a scary episode, and she's like, it's so scary that they've told us to play this Western movie instead.
Oh my, it seems the show is so scary that Congress won't even let us show it. Instead, they've suggested the 1947 classic Glenn Ford movie 200 Miles to Oregon.
It had that one, it had the 5th one, it had the 6th one, it had the 7th one, and then it cut ahead to like the 13th one, which had like, I don't know, it had like the weirdest fucking episodes. It had the Leprechaun parody episode. It had the 2001 A Space Odyssey kind of parody where they get an AI in their house, and it's voiced by
Pierce Brosnan.
And then it has a Harry Potter one. That was a DVD that I used to watch to the point where I think the DVD is probably going to break if I put it back in, that I would watch it on loop. Not even around Halloween, but when it became Halloween, like the month of October, it would be watched on repeat, even though I'd seen them so much. And then I'd record as many as I could, because they used to show them at different times around October, that I could kind of watch them all in bulk, but you'd always miss a few. But now at Disney Plus, you can literally rewatch every single one of them.
Yeah.
When they kind of, because they put you in the Halloween mood, they're very, like, even the first few, I think, are very much focused in and around Halloween night. They tell ghost stories, you know, Trees of Horrors, because in the first one they tell ghost stories
in the treehouse and stuff.
Yeah, but as it kind of went on, it stopped becoming about kind of Halloween. There'd be an opening about Halloween, and then it would just become, what movie can we parody? And it became, okay, not even what horror movie can we parody, what can we just parody that's like, not even, it's not even that they were irrelevant. I'm pretty sure that a lot of these were out of date when they did them. And I actually wrote a list of the amount of movies that they parody, of every single movie that they parody. Now, I'm not sure, I could be missing a few. It's a long fucking list as well. So it's in order. The Amityville Horror, The Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone, it's the Talking Tina episode / Child's Play. It's the one where Krusty comes alive and tries to kill Homer.
Great one, yeah.
King Kong. Return the Living Dead / Nine the Living Dead. It's the zombie one. Another Twilight Zone one, Terror at 50,000 Feet. A lot of Twilight Zone stuff. I think obviously the writers were very big Twilight Zone fans when this kind of was conceived.
Yeah.
Dracula / Salem's Lot. The Shining. Nightmare on Elm Street. The Omega Man. The Fly. Child's Play again, because it's the episode where Homer gets a hair transplant from the snake character.
Yeah.
That's what I call a bad hair day.
Let me remind you that 2 people are dead. Oh, wait, I just got it.
Great one.
That whole thing is like, the last act is exactly like Child's Play. I Know What You Did Last Summer, The Leprechaun, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Harry Potter, The Island of Dr. Monroe, Frankenstein, The Dead Zone, From Hell, Fantastic Voyage, AI, A Most Dangerous Game, The Blob, War of the Worlds, E.T., Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Transformers, Mad Men, Charlie Brown, Dial M for Murder, 28 Days Later, Sweeney Todd, Jumanji, Dead Cam, Twilight, Spider-Man / the Diving Bell and the Butterfly, which is, what the fuck were they thinking there?
I remember that episode. What a bizarre
It's
mix.
so fucking bad, that one. Dexter, Avatar, Paranormal Activity, Back to the Future, Cat in the Hat, Freaks, A Clockwork Orange, Godzilla, Chronicle, Mad Max / The Hunger Games, James Bond / Kingsman, The Exorcist, Coraline, Body Snatchers, Split, Jurassic Park, Stranger Things, Apocalypto, Black Mirror, and Alien. Now, I haven't gotten up to the new episodes or anything like that, and I think I've left a few out, but what the fuck? That is so many parodies, you know, and half of them aren't even horror related. Like,
Yeah, that's the thing, yeah.
what would you consider the worst episode?
I know one that probably disappointed me the most, I would say, is when Sideshow Bob finally gets to kill Bart.
That's very bad. Yeah, not into that one. I can't even. Oh, actually no. I do remember the other tales in it, and they're equally bad.
I think was the Godzilla one a tale in that one, and that was also poorly done.
You're actually watching it, and you're just like, what am I watching? It stops becoming a Godzilla parody and becomes more of a parody about Hollywood.
Yeah, like they're trying to be satirical, but like
it's so on the
there's
nose.
nothing subtle about it. It's just, let's spend money, and then they start slagging Godzilla for not doing well, and I was like, I'm pretty sure the recent Godzilla, well, probably not the second one, but I'm pretty sure that Godzilla did do well. I don't get what they're saying. Like, what's your point?
The only thing I liked about it was getting to see Homer as Godzilla, because Homer was King Kong. Maybe one day they'll
fight. Yeah, no, but like, as well as that, like you would think, oh, finally, you can do something cool with Sideshow Bob killing Bart, but nothing happens. Like, he kills him, and then he kind of uses his body a bit. I was like, yeah, this is good fun. I'm bored. Starts reanimating him.
Anything with the Bart character I don't like as well in the new seasons, because they made him very much to be like such a little bastard, and to the point where he's not likable at all. You know, he's always meant to be like a troubled child and stuff, but they've just made him extremely unlikable. So this whole episode, I think he was just extremely unlikable through all of it.
Like, he deserves to die.
Not that he deserves to die, just in the sense that everything with that character, he's very kind of smarmy and he's very annoying. I can't really feel any empathy for when he does die. Not that you have to, but it's just like, I'm kind of like, I don't really want Sideshow Bob to be caught at the end of this. I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm. And then there's not really any. Sideshow Bob becomes half chicken or something at the end of it.
I don't know.
Whatever.
It's not a good one. It's like that one. I can't even remember the last tale that was in it. What's that? I think it's I think it's a Chronicle parody. Do you remember that film? Chronicle?
No.
Yeah, well, no one else does. It's the
yeah, exactly.
It was the like found footage superhero movie. So they did a found footage episode.
I do remember the clip in The Simpsons, yeah. And then it was just Milhouse and Lisa get superpowers or some shite.
The worst one for me probably is I don't exactly remember the full episodes, but like certain like tales in them. So there was a split party that was brutal. Like that was painful to watch. That there were jokes were just so bad and just didn't land, or they were just stating facts, you know. And then like that one had after a Jurassic Park party where all the old people in Springfield would turn into dinosaurs, and it was the weirdest thing you could watch. It was like, oh man, I don't even know how to go into it. It was just bad. Like it wasn't even like a fun weird.
Yeah.
I think the worst episode overall was the diving bell and
the diving bell and the butterfly is the proper name for it. But...
yeah, the diving bell and the buttered ball, I think it's called, and then it's a Spider-Man party. So I was watching that earlier in preparation for this, and my brother was there. Like he came in and he was like, "You know what episode's bad? The one where Ned he's a Dexter party. Ned Flanders is a Dexter party." And I was like, "That you know what that one is shite." And then I went to him and I was like, "You know what's really bad? The Avatar special, like the Avatar one." And it turns out they were all in this one episode, and I hadn't realized because as they both showed up, and it is so bad. Like the Dexter one at least has context of being in a horror, like a Halloween episode, but the Avatar one, that must have been out of date. I'm sure it was out of date. It was just stupid. It was just really dumb to have. It's like it has no relevance. They have it in like Kang and Kodos be the aliens on it, and it's just
the avatars or whatever.
Yeah, what's the most popular movie that we can parody
from a couple of years ago?
And sorry, another one that like particularly kind of boils my blood, because it was when I was a little kid, it used to get little Carl fucking very angry, was the Transformers parody, because it was set at Christmas. And I was always like, you can't fucking do a Halloween special and set it at Christmas, because any kind of even mention of Christmas at Halloween, I feel like irritates me, because it's like people just want to skip the holiday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to be like, oh, we're gonna do a Halloween special but set at Christmas, it's just like, well then fucking throw the whole thing out. There's no point.
Take a deep breath. I think it's just funny to see how they are now versus how they were. And I think when you look at the recent ones, like I said, like when we were growing up, we weren't in the prime of The Simpsons. We were on its decline, and didn't hit rock bottom yet.
I mean, I wouldn't. Like, it's all opinion based. You know what I mean? Anyone that's going to argue on somebody's opinion is just wrong. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, I get that, but I think it's still clear though that when you go back to particularly the earlier Treehouse of Horrors, like there's such quality in there.
I don't want to. They're kind of perfect, and that's a kind of a big kind of thing to say, that something is perfect, but they are pretty perfect. Like the first, like 5 or 6 of them are just hilarious. Like, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then what could you pick as your favorites then?
Ooh. I like to separate them out into their individual bits rather than.
I was gonna specify, if you can do tales and then maybe give me episodes after the fact, or if you just want to do tales, we'll just go your like 5 best tales and then maybe your 3 best episodes.
Okay, well, first thing that pops into my head is what's it called? Homer in the Third Dimension, or Homer Cubed.
That would be one of my favorites as well. Not the story, like the episode.
Yes, yeah. But it's not because it's particularly spooky or whatever. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
The jokes there, like Patty and Selma in that in particular, are just on fire. And then you start bringing in all of the different characters into the Simpsons household to try and figure out what's going on.
I didn't get to say this earlier. Ned has a ladder. I'll go and ask him. That started a whole Instagram account for you, where you had an art account that you did as a piss take for Inktober. So we tie it back to Halloween once more into October. That you only set up for that period. That over lockdown, everyone was getting Disney Plus because it came out in like March when lockdown kicked in Ireland. You were the only one that didn't have it. And I remember you said it to me. I think you texted me something like,
What is it? As a tree says to the lumberjack, I'm stumped.
I'm stumped. And then we just like couldn't stop laughing at that. And then I think the next thing you did was send me a photo of you up a ladder with the quote, "I'll ring Ned. He has a ladder."
We better call Ned. He has a ladder.
Well, as the tree said to the lumberjack, I'm stumped.
Yeah, I happened to be painting or something at the time, so I had the ladder there. I don't know. Hang on a minute.
We conceived this idea of like, oh, you should do these for like a month. Do it like Inktober, or like a month of like Simpsons, and then you were like, I'm only gonna do it to see if I can get sponsored to get Disney Plus so I can watch them. And I don't think it went on for long, but you did. You got what? How many? Like 15 out of them or something like that?
Yeah, I got a good 2 weeks, and then I did my last one was to do it for her.
Yeah,
just all the photos of me doing stupid Simpson things.
Did you get the sponsorship in the end?
Yeah, I was able to mooch off a mate, so I would call it a success.
Yeah, I think it was a win. But no, yeah. that came from that joke. So that episode is hilarious.
Yeah, but there's other good, like, great jokes in it. Just from Patty and Selma.
It's like he just disappeared into fat air.
That one would be one of my favorites as well, because it has one of my favorite tales in it is the Nightmare on Elm Street one.
Yeah.
There's 2 quotes from The Simpsons that, okay, this is going to make me sound like a massive hipster. But when Irish Simpsons fans in Ireland became like a thing that so many people were fans of it, I felt this is great. Mainly because there's lots of other people that dig this show as much as I do, because it used to be a point where back when I was younger that I would quote this show to my brother and to my cousin, but pick the most obscure quotes you can imagine. Now there's a whole community of people just picking out like obscure jokes.
Still amazed by that, yeah.
It's they pick the most kind of niche kind of parts of it. But 2 of the like jokes that I picked were both from Willie, and they were both from Treehouse of Horrors. So one of them was in the Nightmare on Elm Street one, when he turns to Bart.
What to rake your acquaintance?
Which I fucking loved. And I just kept saying that. And the other one would be in another one of my favorites, was the zombie one.
There! Pretty as a picture! Ah! Zombies! There! Pretty as a picture!
So I would constantly say this over and over and over again. But that Nightmare on Elm Street one, I just think was just so funny with like the parody. I think the reason why they were so good from the start as well, they had such respect for the stuff they were parodying, I feel, as well.
Yeah.
That it was done with such kind of like precision. So when Willie is Freddy Krueger, it is hilarious. The whole sequence where he burns up is so much like the movie.
You'll pay for this with your children's blood!
Oh, right. How you gonna get them? Skeleton power?
I'll strike where you cannot protect them. In their dreams.
It's like Homer being Jack Nicholson in The Shining. When you say, okay, Groundskeeper Willie is going to be Freddy Krueger, it just kind of is a no-brainer, you know?
It just fits, yeah.
It just fits perfectly, yeah.
That is the one, isn't it? Where when Martin dies in the middle of class.
It's so good because it's like it's hilarious, but it's also when he's screaming, it's proper screaming.
Yeah, yeah. And then they wheel him out and best the kids not see.
Wheel him out quietly. It's best the children don't see him. Oh, just get it out of here. Not into the kindergarten.
That's what I kind of think about it as well. When they could be a bit scary as well, that they could, when you're a kid and you're looking at them, that they're a bit creepy. And I find that there's some other episodes that aren't even Halloween episodes that you could watch around Halloween and get away with it. And the 2 of them would be Bart of Darkness, which is the Rear Window parody, where Bart's leg is broken and he thinks Flanders has killed Maude.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very good kind of like suspenseful episode that you could watch around Halloween. But the other one, which is scarier than all it's scarier than all the Treehouse of Horrors. Can you guess it?
No. Cape Fear?
No.
That for me is up there.
I mean, do you find that scary though?
I wouldn't say scary, but I would say it fits in with the...
I think it would fit in. It's a perfect parody
We watched that around Halloween, I think, together, and then a bunch of the Treehouse of Horror, and it just fit perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, we were like had a few people at mine, and I think the party had basically ended. The bulk of people had left, and it was only just like the four of us, and we just put on the TV randomly, and I think Channel 4 was playing them at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and we were like, "Oh, cool, Simpsons is on," and they showed Cape Fear and then a bunch of the Trees of Horrors, and it was like such like a good time to be playing them as well. And I feel like it was so like they knew their audience as well, that like, okay, who's going to be watching The Simpsons at 2 o'clock in the morning? You know, they knew it was going to be like early 20-year-olds, you know? Yeah. But the X-Files episode, that scared the shit out of so many people.
Oh, of course.
Me included. That was terrifying.
Please, don't hurt me.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah!
So what was it like? You've got 4 other tales to pick from. Your Desert Island Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors.
I was stuck in it. Okay. I think I would have to pick probably the entire episode of Treehouse of Horror number 5.
Yeah.
So in that you've got The Shining, or The Shining rather. You've got, I don't know what it's a parody of, to be honest. It's the toaster one.
I don't think it is a parody, and sometimes when they write the original ones, they are hilarious, and that one is fucking gas.
Yeah, it's great. I think what's great about I'll just say the other one in that is the one where the kids are being eaten.
That makes one of my 5 as well. That would be definitely
fantastic. But I think what's good about it is I mean, when I was younger, I always felt that the Treehouse of Horror was special because it was so different, and I think it kind of gave the writers a chance to just go like against the grain, or just whatever you want, just go for it.
Yeah, for them to be weird, like the Simpsons was already weird, what it parodies and some of its jokes, but when Halloween came around, it was like, okay guys, just go fucking mad, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
To like put it into perspective, the episode that I just want to say, if there was a best episode in general, I think it would be between 4 and 5, which has
The Shining, of course, a parody of The Shining, Time and Punishment,
the toaster one,
and Nightmare Cafeteria.
And then the 4th one that I think kind of rivals that would have The Devil and Homer Simpson, the one where he sells his soul for a donut.
Yeah, of course.
Terror at 5.5 Feet, which is the Gremlin on the Bus parody of the Twilight Zone.
Yep.
And then Bart Simpson's Dracula, which has Mr. Burns in place of Gary Oldman's Dracula with the boob hair and everything, and it's just perfect. But I think the 5th one is so kind of like bonkers, kind of mad, that it ends so well that Nightmare Cafeteria is all a dream. And that it's like, no, Bart, that was all a nightmare. But there is this fog that turns you inside out.
Uh-oh, it's seeping in. Stupid cheap weather stripping.
Yeah, I forgot that's in there.
That
yeah.
I remember watching as a kid.
Yeah.
That used to freak me the fuck out, and it's such a weird sequence. And there's this really funny reoccurring joke in all of it where Willie constantly comes back and tries to save
murdered
him.
by an axe. Like, it's good because like it starts with The Shining, yeah, okay, of course. But then with the toaster one, has nothing to do with that.
You're still not in your own world, Homer. I can get you home, but you have to do exactly as I do.
This is indeed a disturbing universe.
The Nightmare Cafeteria one used to freak me out as a kid, and it is very kind of creepy, but it's so funny. It's just...
Remember, when I was younger, I thought it was creepy, but now it's so funny. That's just witty, you know?
There's a great joke in that one where Marge turns to them and she's like,
"Listen, kids, you're 8 and 10 years old now. I can't be fighting all your battles for you."
But Mom...
No buts. You march right back to that school, look them straight in the eye and say, "Don't eat me."
For me, I always liked The Raven, to be honest. It's not too creepy. It's not like... I just thought it was quite different from everything else. And I just remember it was always in my head because it was the first one, like the first episode, first Treehouse Horror. I always just liked it.
I feel like it's very faithful to the source material. I could be wrong.
I haven't read the source material, but I believe it's 100% accurate.
I heard that a teacher in our school back in the day used to show people that on videotape because it was like, no, it's Edgar Allan Poe. No, I don't have to do any work. Just throw that on, you know? I remember actually at one time, this is completely off topic, but I think it's funny because we went to the same school. That's how long we've been friends. Oh, God. Kill me now. In our religion class, we were talking, I think, about something like Scientology or something like that. And our religion teacher wanted to show us the episode of The Simpsons with the leader.
The leader is good. The leader is great. We surrender our will as of the state.
My top 5, like, I think the best episode, I think, as we said, would be the Shinning one or the 4th one. But if I had to pick, like, specific ones, it would be the Shinning, King Homer. That one is just... Oh, sorry. Actually, no. I kind of take back what I said. The 3rd one as well, that had the evil doll, King Homer, and it had the zombie one. So dial Z for zombies, or Z for zombies, King Homer, and I can't remember what the crusty one was called, but they were perfect. And even it goes like the whole love for Clockwork Orange goes back to then as well, where Bart is in the like Alex kind of get up with the bowler hat and the cod piece and everything at the like a Halloween party. But the King Homer one is so funny, and it's one of the earliest ones that's just so good and so accurate to the source material.
Apes, but they're not so big.
Hey, I heard we're going to Ape Island.
Yeah, to capture a giant ape. I wish we were going to Candy Apple Island.
Candy Apple Island? What do they got there?
Apes, but they're not so big.
Yeah, like, and it's just hilarious as well. Like the build up to it, because Grandpa Simpson is one of my favorite characters, and the whole build up is from him. And it's just like, you've lived an interesting life. No, I haven't, but I've seen a lot of movies. That I feel like rings home to me, you know?
I did always like it when it was, particularly in the early Treehouse of Horror. It like there was a setting of they're telling stories, right? Like they're telling stories in the treehouse, or for that one, I think they have like a little Halloween party, and then they're like, oh, here's a story that will creep you out. And I always like that kind of brought it back to they're telling stories rather than and here's a parody of Harry Potter.
Yeah, they kind of they gave way of it, like, because I think everyone just got so used to them. But yeah, I do like it because that kind of made it feel more Halloweeny when they were at a Halloween party, or like the first one is them in a treehouse trying to scare each other. The second one is it's all nightmares brought on by Halloween candy. The next one is a big Halloween party where they're all in costume. Even the whole introductions, they did this great Homer Simpson parody of Alfred Hitchcock, of his TV show, where he stands in the silhouette of him.
Good evening.
The whole Frankenstein parody is just so good as well. That kind of brings me to what I was going to say about a standard episode that's more recent, that people kind of wrote articles online about how gross it was. And it brought back that whole format where it's on the stage with the big red curtains, and Lisa comes out and she's like, the next tale is so disgusting that like you might not want to watch it. And it's the whole tale is about Homer's left at home by himself for the weekend, and he runs out of food, so he starts eating himself, and it's this self-cannibalism thing. And it is a standout episode because you're like, this is fucking weird. He's like carving off pieces of himself to eat. And it is really grotesque. Last year, they did a Halloween episode that was shite, unfortunately. As much as I don't like to say that, but they did a Stranger Things parody.
Yeah, it's just poor.
One part of it made me laugh out loud, though, was when Lisa is 11 and they're in the Upside Down, and because it's like the nuclear power plant, the Demogorgon tries to attack them, and Homer burns it with a flamethrower, and he's just like, oh, hi sweetie, I'm at work. And that made me laugh out loud, just the idea that that's Homer's day job, you know, in that kind of context. But that was so bad. But in the same season, they did a Thanksgiving horror episode done like the Treehouse of Horrors, and it was 3 tales. And I remember my brother caught it on TV, and he recorded it immediately for me, and then he showed me later, and he was like, here, sit down, just watch this. It's a new episode, just don't talk to me about it, just sit down and watch it. And I sat down and I was like, what the fuck is this? It was the weirdest new episode I've ever seen. Definitely one of the weirdest episodes of The Simpsons I think I've seen. But it was so funny. 10 times better than any of the Treehouse of Horrors that came out in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I thought it was a real kind of throwback to the early ones. Like, the first thing I noticed was it was gore heavy. Which here we go, because
I rewatched it today, and after not seeing it for months, and I was taken aback just watching it again, just being like, "Holy shit! I forgot that I watched this in like pre-Watershed. Like I watched this in the daytime on TV, like off Sky One or something."
The first thing in it is the first Thanksgiving, and they're all turkeys, basically.
The first thing is that Marge introduces it as well, just to set up that we're doing a second Treehouse of Horror set of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, which I liked. Nice throwback.
One holiday just wasn't enough to contain all the frights and chills. So this year, the terror has spread into Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was such a nice throwback that you were like, oh, this is really cool. But yeah, the first parody is the first Thanksgiving, and it's Apocalypto.
I thought making everyone's voice into like a turkey gobbling, I thought somehow it worked well. You could tell each character, despite the fact they were just saying nothing. Yeah,
I feel like after 31 seasons, or whatever season they were on when they made that one, you knew everything, even the side characters were going to say. So not having them actually say English words were good, and it really made me laugh. Like, I thought it was so funny.
And then I thought, all right, that's cool, but where are we going with this? And the first thing is Maud's head gets blown clean off from a
yeah, it's so gory, it's so violent as well. I love as well how it's Maud of all people. Really made me rethink Apocalypto as a film. Just thinking like, is that a horror movie? I kind of feel like I can classify that as a horror movie, you know? Because I was even watching, so it's the first Thanksgiving, and it's all from the perspective of the Simpsons kind of characters as turkeys, the majority. And the ones that aren't turkeys are pilgrims coming in and killing them for their Thanksgiving feast. So they come in, they kill all the turkeys, and I felt when I was watching it that they perceive it like, so they do all the beats of Apocalypto where he gets captured and he gets brought to the village, and he's brought into the I think it's like the Aztec pyramid where he's brought to, and it is done like a horror movie. But I felt like it was written from the perspective of a vegetarian or a vegan, and I'm not even gonna lie, I think it worked on me, that it was almost like to the perspective of if you wrote a serious horror movie from an animal's point of view of people just kind of coming and harvesting your meat, this is what it would be. And it is really disturbing, and it's really violent, but it's really, really funny. Like, it's so funny. Like, I felt like I was watching a Family Guy episode. It was that kind of gory. Like, heads get cut off, people's eyes get plucked out.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like, when Maud's head gets blown off, you think, fucking, here we go. But then it's like, they won't do too much after that. But then they literally line up all of them, and like all of the turkeys have the character's face. So you see like Lenny and Carl and fucking Grandpa or whatever, and they're just lined up, and their heads are chopped off.
So that one I think is just really good, and like really like that catches your attention immediately from it. You're like, oh shit. The second one is a Black Mirror parody, and I like Black Mirror. I haven't seen every episode, but I'm a fan of it. But it's so accurate. And it goes back to what I'm saying, that they treat the parody with respect. That you could tell, I think, that the writers of it were fans. That throughout the entire parody of this episode, there's little Easter eggs.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, like on their bedside locker, there's the snow globe to the Christmas episode.
I didn't even notice that. I noticed like the poster for San Junipero, little things like that.
And then Marge's status kind of lowers.
Yeah, of course.
At the end of the episode.
You're dead right there, yeah.
If you're aware of Black Mirror, it's a parody of the Christmas special. It's only one segment of that Christmas special where it's an Amazon Echo kind of thing, like a Google Home, where Marge is duplicated to be an AI kind of servant. And it's just about her trying to escape as an AI against the real Marge, who's very like callous against her. She doesn't like the positivity that everyone kind of feels off the AI version. Like they prefer the AI version, but it's done with such kind of love for the original material. They're all all of them are actually at Thanksgiving as well, which I appreciate, because when they say it's Thanksgiving, they're gonna keep bringing it back, like the old Halloween ones where they're kind of more orientated to Halloween. But she gets the AI to make a big Thanksgiving dinner for everybody, and on the TV they're watching, the Spider Pig character from the movie.
With Mayor Quimby.
Mayor Quimby's gonna have sex with a pig in the fucking TV. It's so funny, like. But that one again really made me laugh. But the last one sold me on it entirely. The last one is an alien parody where all the kids get woken up from like hypersleep or whatever it is, and they try to copy gelatin. They try to like make clones of cranberry jelly, and it becomes like the Blob. So it's almost like another Blob parody, but it's alien. And I just, every beat I thought was right in it. Like Martin turning on them, and Martin's whole line of like, I admire its purity. It's just ripped straight out of the Alien movies and everything. It's so clever. Like, it's so good. And then it ends for another kind of like big, weird, kind of like what the fuck moment. It ends with this old Thanksgiving float of Bart Simpson.
Yeah, and the end credits. Yeah, that was bizarre. Yeah.
It's terrifying, yeah. If you were a fan of the Trees of Horrors and you've like, and they're not good anymore, just kind of like a fact, seek this one out because I think it genuinely brings it back to that kind of, and I hope they keep it up.
Yeah, a nice throwback, like.
I'd love if they kept it up. That's like the Trees of Horrors are kind of hit and miss. I think the new season has like a Spider-Verse parody or something. I don't know. It's just something that's not relevant to horror movies. Hopefully, like they continue to the Thanksgiving ones, and maybe they'll keep the quality kind of good, and that they were all kind of horror orientated as well. Like Apocalypto, not so much, but it went there with the excessive violence. And if you've seen the Apocalypto film, that movie is really violent, so it like matches that in its intensity. What I like about the Thanksgiving one as well is that it kind of leans into the fact that they had this syndication thing. From coming from Ireland, we get everything syndicated at the same time as England does, I'm pretty sure. So it's usually always much later than America. Or that's how it was for a very long time. But even now, I think in America, I don't think the Trees of Horrors line up. They just do them every year, but I don't think they line up with Halloween each year. So they kind of leaned into the whole thing that it was a joke that they were always at Christmas.
Happy Halloween, everybody!
But the Thanksgiving one, it came later, and it can kind of, well, we know it's not Halloween anymore, but still, here's some weird kind of horror stuff. The last one that I kind of want to talk about is not even a Trees of Horror. It's a Halloween episode from season 26. That's like just a Halloween orientated episode where it's the Simpsons characters at Halloween. I mean, I saw it by chance, just caught it on TV. I was like, this is weird. This isn't a Trees of Horror. But it really kind of stuck with me, and I really, really enjoyed it for a later episode. Even it opens up with like them setting up their decorations, and Ned comes over to them and is like, oh, were you going to go up to the treehouse and tell like spooky tales? And then Homer lists off these episodes that never get made, but he's like, oh, we're doing Psycho, we're doing that next week. We're doing Psycho with Skinner's mom, and we're doing Muppets Wizard of Oz. I'm Muppet Fozzie. And that to me sold me on the entire episode immediately, because it was so on point. That particular mention of the Muppets Wizard of Oz sounds like the stupidest idea they could come up with for a Trees of Horror. That felt like they would have done that, you know what I mean? That's just so accurate, so they could kind of have the self-parody in it. But it's not only that, it's the whole thing is about them being such Halloween fans and setting up their house for Halloween. And then they go to like this Universal, it's a parody of the Universal Horror Nights, but it's with Krusty the Clown instead. So it's Krusty's Horror Nights. And Lisa goes with Bart and Homer, and she becomes traumatized. So they have to take down all their Halloween decorations. And there's this whole call out for Halloween skippers, people who don't put up Halloween decorations. And if you've listened to the last two episodes, that is so true to what me and Sive have been talking about, that how so many people just kind of want to skip over Halloween, that it's not really a holiday for them, that they'll be like, well, you know, my kids are too old, I'm going to not put up the decorations.
I think it's particularly apt like this year. Like even my ma was just, will we bother, like, because there's going to be no trick-or-treating or whatever. That kind of to force her hand a bit.
Goes into the context of here in Ireland where we're going to be in lockdown for Halloween, but it's still, I feel like it's a more important time to set them up if you are a fan of Halloween, that you can kind of do stuff within your own home to still get those vibes. I feel it's like somebody turning around, say if we were in lockdown for Christmas, or people, like I said before in the podcast, my children have gotten too old. I won't put up my Christmas tree. Oh, we're in lockdown. I'm not going to put up the Christmas tree.
That
We'll
wouldn't
skip
have
Christmas
happened.
this year, kids. Like, it just wouldn't fly. So I don't understand how it happens for Halloween. And that's why I think I like this episode of The Simpsons so much, is that they have this whole thing of, like, Halloween skippers, where they, like, judge all the neighbors and everything like that. Yeah, so they have to take all the decorations down for Lisa's kind of phobia. And Lisa has this teddy that she used to have that has become destroyed because she used to be afraid of everything. It's just a tail that she kind of rubs and it comforts her. So they have to take down their decorations, and it's this kind of whole plot where Marge has a subplot with Bart where she tries to give him a good Halloween. It really ties into everything I've been saying, this kind of modernization of Halloween where they don't want, you can't dress up in school anymore. So Bart dresses up as a pirate.
It's stripped down,
well, we're going to need to take away...
Well, that can only be used for bad. Well, you don't want to make fun of the half-blind, so we need to take off this eye patch.
Yeah, so they take away his sword, his hook,
and don't they put like fake or something on him?
Yeah, pretend. They have like pretend written on him or something like that. You know, there's a whole subplot where Marge tries to give him a good Halloween, while Homer stays with Lisa, and there's another plot in it where Homer got some pop-up Halloween store workers fired, and they do this home invasion, and they're played by Nick Kroll and Blake Anderson. And they do like this home invasion Strangers thing on them, like the Strangers movie to them. They break in to the house on Lisa and Homer when they're home alone. And I thought that was so funny. Like, Homer doesn't want to let Lisa know that they're going to break in. And he's casually locking all the doors and windows, but he's whistling the Halloween theme.
I thought that was great.
It's just the Halloween theme. It's properly the Halloween theme. I found the whole thing to be like a TV movie as a whole. It had the emotional kind of beats. It had a whole kind of setup that, to the point when there's a whole thing in it where Homer and Lisa get locked into the attic and they have to set up all of their decorations on the roof and all their fireworks to get people's attention to save them from the home invaders. And Lisa gets, like, Homer has to tell Lisa it's okay to be afraid. It doesn't matter what age you are, it's okay to be afraid, because everyone becomes afraid at points in their life. And she gives him the tail off her teddy to light on fire, to light all these fireworks. And that really, I felt that, I got very emotional looking at that, you know what I mean? I thought it was good. I thought it was like a Halloween special, like it felt like a Halloween movie that you used to see on TV. That it had all these emotional beats to it and all this emotional weight that I was like, this is really good, you know? And not to mention it has a really good, I've said in the previous podcast how much of a fan I am of Rocky Horror Picture Show. And it has this really good Time Warp parody where it's all about adult Halloween when you're a kid. Well, after a certain point...
when they're all dressing up just for the bedroom, like.
Yeah, just for being like drunk and horny, and that is so true as well. Not to like bring it back into...
Well, don't start saying, not to bring it back to my childhood again, but...
Not to bring it back to like my childhood, and that might sound weird from what I came from, for what the last sentence was, but like I remember going out with my cousins at Halloween up in the country where they lived, where there would be a certain night where you all wear costumes and go to the town, and I was the youngest person there, should not have been there in fairness, but basically seeing adult Halloween where everyone's just drunk and horny and dressed up in these leather kind of costumes, and that was Halloween for them. So when this joke came in, got me. Like, I thought it was so funny. It was so accurate to like adult Halloween.
I always found it funny, to be fair, because like I've gone to Halloween parties with you, and like people will dress up as fucking sexy nurse or sexy police officer or whatever, and you will do like the full It the Clown makeup or something.
Yeah. Like, I never got that with people where it's just like, I don't want to be cutesy or sexy on Halloween. I gotta be scary, you know what I mean? And it's a thing that I got to a point where I was just like, man, you've got to rethink your costume decisions, you know what I mean? There's a reason why people dress like this, but I'd always be like, oh, you fake, you know, you faker, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, I find it interesting that, I'm not sure what the popular consensus is, but with us at least, that we would be like, yeah, I particularly like the episodes that like move away from what they're doing currently with the current Treehouse of Horror. So like the Thanksgiving one, like the like this one in particular, where it's just set at Halloween, but it's not the tree stories, and they even parody the tree stories, and we're gonna do Skinner's mom's gonna be this or whatever. Like it's weird that the Treehouse of Horror has kind of become this thing that we nearly like. We prefer it when it's not even a real Treehouse of Horror.
Yeah, I think it's because there's more bad than good, and I think there was a steady decline with the seasons of quality anyway. But because there's no bad and good, a different take on them is why we kind of like them, and I think that's kind of a good way to kind of wrap up this whole episode. Is that the reason why we like the episodes to begin with is because they're so different, is because they're so weird, and when you've seen the same thing for so long and they have kind of declined, when you do something different, such as the Thanksgiving episode or the one that just set a Halloween, it's good, it's funny, they can do new things with it, and they've never done a Halloween episode where it's just the characters set a Halloween, you know, the Simpsons living through Halloween night. And when they do like a Thanksgiving one, it is different, you know what I mean? They've kind of a different mindset that it's like, okay, well, you want to parody the most latest movie for the Halloween one, let's do classic horror movies, or let's do some more niche kind of things for the Thanksgiving one. And that's why I think we like them in the first place, is because they were so
you're dead right. Like it stood out from the rest of them. That like it was always when I was younger, like I didn't have access to like we have a Disney Plus now. It was just, oh, a Treehouse of Horrors on. This is going to be different from all the other episodes. So it really stood out, and I think that follows with these ones, that they stand out now, where the Treehouse of Horror has nearly become just like it's like another episode, and it's there's one of these every year.
All right, well, that kind of wraps up what we wanted to talk about. So if you're a Simpsons fan, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope we gave you some recommendations to ones that you watched. Maybe check out the Thanksgiving episode and the non-Trees of Horror episode if you're a Simpsons fan. If you're not a Simpsons fan, I apologize for this entire episode. I don't know what relevance it had to you if you're not a Simpsons fan, but if you got to this point in the episode, thank you for listening. I appreciate that. You can follow 404 on Instagram at 404films. You can follow me on Instagram at carlkyle_director. And you can follow Glen at
Glen_Insta_art if you're really a arse, like.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get to see all of his Simpson posts. Thanks, Glenn, for being a guest on this and for filling in for Sive.
Yeah, I'd also like to apologise if you're a Sive fan in particular.
I feel like this will be Glenn's first and last appearance on the show. No, we really appreciated you stepping in first.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks.